All right. We are live, and I have such a special guest tonight, and or today, or wherever you're watching this. It's Patrick Timpone, Italian, and he's just an eclectic, energized, uh, sharing his knowledge around the world for many, many years in the world of broadcasting. Is it since 1968? And I've been
They
on
haven't
that.
caught on to me yet.
No, they haven't. Me, me neither. And we're here talking about Patrick's life and what he's brought to the world. And we're gonna get into the carnivore because that's part of it. But I was blessed to be on his show and be interviewed, and he's just has great energy and healing. He's a writer, screenplay, upcoming book. You've said, and we're here to share your story. So, Patrick, welcome,
Well,
and
thank you.
tell us the radio show that you currently sponsor 100% because you're the energy that's behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, and
Well,
everywhere.
first of all, thanks so much for inviting me. Uh, it's really an honor because you're one of my heroes. Ever since I talked to you, and so I'm on oneradionetwork.com, oneradionetwork.com, and we do a live video and audio stream, Doc, every morning, 10 a.m. Central Time, for 1 or 2 or 3 hours, depending on how crazy we get.
How did you get into this one radio, or really let's start from the beginning. How did you get into the radio business in the first place?
Oh, it was definitely a spiritual thing, and we can get into how that works. But uh, there are teachers and angels that will help you get into your dharma karma. Your right livelihood, as the Buddhists call it. If you just say, "What do I do?" And so I was in the Navy in 1968. I'm going to start crying now if you get me talking about this.
We love emotions.
In 1968, in working as a journalist in Pensacola, Florida, in the Navy. I was a journalist, and I saw this ad in the Navy Times, and it said, "We need broadcasters." Oh, man, it's so cool. I cut it out, I sent it in. Next thing I know, they sent me a little tape. So they had me record something, I don't remember, just some news stories just to see if I could talk. That was probably the only requirement then, if you could speak English. And they sent me to a broadcast school in Fort Benjamin, Harrison, Indiana. And we did that for about 3 months. And I was stationed on a small island in the South Pacific called Johnston Atoll.
Very
Nothing.
tiny, very tiny. I'm
Oh,
sure.
you know that place.
No, I haven't heard of it. So I'm imagine atolls are like tiny.
It's about 750 miles southwest of Hawaii. No girls, rats, but you did deal with that. But there was a lot of Hawaiians, and we had big rockets. That was the duty. So I was in Armed Forces Radio, so I played Frank Sinatra records and just drank martinis and waited out the war.
And then from your Navy radio experience, where'd you go from there?
Then I just started working in small towns, anywhere they would have me. And back in those days, you could walk into a small radio station like I did in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, and get a job.
Huh.
They'd put you on the air, and say, "Here, play this record," and they tell you what record. Even back then, though, we got to play whatever records we wanted. So I was a disc jockey, a rock and roll disc jockey, in Poplar Bluff, in Quincy, Illinois, in um, in Springfield, Illinois. Then I got my big break to a radio station in St. Louis, where I did 2 to 6 in the morning, if you can imagine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then
Wow.
on my way, and then I was fired from some of the better radio stations in this country, Doc.
Good
I was
for you.
always
Good for you
Oh,
to be given new opportunities, new challenges, and all this. So, and One Radio Network. When did you leap into that? And
2008, 2008.
eh,
And that was just after I started a natural food store in Dripping Springs. It was out of control, beautiful, but I was brain dead. I didn't know what I was doing, and I went bankrupt. So I had to do something, so I could start doing this. You know, spirit moves you just to the right spot.
I'm a big failure, and the more I've failed in life, the more I grow and learn, and
Yeah.
I'm just feel so blessed in life. So you're in the health and wellness arena, in the natural
For a long
food.
time, long time.
And what was your, maybe we talk a little bit about your eating habits back then, and what
Back then, in 1978, they had a little kissing booth from a radio station, big station I was working for, WWL, and they wanted me to do that. So I said, okay, sure, I'll do it. So I met this girl. It's always about a girl, right? And she actually was a vegetarian since birth, but she had the most beautiful, crystal clear blue eyes I'd ever seen.
uh-huh.
Yeah, just like, whoa, you know. And that's the first time I actually thought about. I guess I was about what 30 years old. Um, you mean what we eat could affect our body? I mean, this was '78. Nobody talked about this stuff, and I really started thinking about it at that moment when I saw her and I saw how great she looked. So that's what really started the health and nutrition thing for me.
And that's when you started going into the health food store that you were doing. You said you went bankrupt from a.
Oh no, that was in 2006.
Okay.
So I started this. Yeah.
And were you, once you met this vegetarian from birth,
Got us. Got
did
us.
you did you also drink the juice and
Oh no, I never did.
okay.
I never did. I tried it. I just didn't feel that good. So I just stayed with my regular diet in New Orleans, which is mostly shrimp, crawfish, and beer, and oysters.
Yeah. Okay. And so let's get to, I guess, '08, when you started your One Radio Network.
Yes, sir.
What was the driving force of what you really wanted to share and create?
Well, the driving force at that time was to make my house payment. So yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
that's good.
right there.
Yeah, this is good. I love
And
it.
so I said I had this equipment, uh, and because we bought it, we were going to do a studio at the store, and and so I just put it in my home, and I had nobody, zero listeners. It's like, whoa. I just started doing it. I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I did radio my whole life, but I just started doing it, and I did a lot of things about health because that was my big interest. Yeah.
And who were your primary guests and conversations at the time?
Oh, a fellow that I still have on my show to this day was my first show. His name is Adam Bergstrom. He's a really cool guy. I think he's got about 80 Christmases under his belt. And he's probably one of the most well-researched guys that I know. He doesn't care much about what you eat. It's pretty much his thing is when you eat it. So it's called chronobiotic nutrition. And it's the idea that you have fruits and nuts in the morning, meat, fine foods in the midday, and then fish and eggs and root vegetables at night. Pretty cool. I did that for years, and I found it helpful when I was doing a broad-based diet.
And maybe we could leap a little bit and we can dip back into the other things, also is recently you've come over to the carnivore side.
Yeah,
Can you maybe tell us a little bit about what was the spark for that? What was going
yeah,
on?
very much had to do with writing my screenplays. I started studying screenwriting about 20 years ago, and I've been learning it all the time. Seminars, workshops, looking at videos, reading books, writing. One of my regular weekly guests in 2008 was Andrew Goss, dear friend of mine, currency historian, a wonderful guy. And he taught me over the last 25 years, even longer than that, because I started interviewing him at an Austrian radio station about money, how it worked, the Federal Reserve, fiat currencies, why we don't print our own money instead of borrowing it from the banks. It's crazy what's going on. So I really understand this system intricately. So that's my first screenplay. It's called The Real World of Money. So, and I've had 3 screenplays now. And so I just needed to be able to write more at night to get these things out, right? And I just couldn't do it. I would eat pasta or rice or baked potato and fish. I would eat all organic, good stuff, Doc. But, I'd eat baked potato and some vegetables at 6, and at 7:30, I was worthless. I couldn't do anything but sit there and watch a movie. I couldn't think clearly. So I started asking God, and it's always good to ask for what you want. And I started asking guys, okay, what's going on here? Because this is not working. I want to be able to write at night, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, midnight. I don't care. I can sleep anytime. And God's so cool, man. So I was up one morning, one night, I don't sleep much. At 2 o'clock in the morning, a fellow from Japan sent me a video, and I clicked on it, and it was Sally K. Norton. You know her?
Yes.
You probably had her on the show.
Oxalates. Not yet.
No. Oh, she's very cool.
Yet.
So I just watched this at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? And I don't know if you've had this experience. You probably have, when you hear somebody and you just know they know what they're talking about. I don't know how you know. You just know. It's just intuition. It's just gut.
You feel it.
You feel it. And I watched the whole thing. And so then I start going through everything I was eating, and everything I was eating was like high oxalates, like almonds and spinach and chard and turmeric. I was doing turmeric every day. All these high oxalate foods. And I said, well, I can get rid of those. I went on her website. That I was still in the morning. I'm going, okay, well, I can do that. Okay. So I started dumping everything I wasn't going to do, beginning at that moment. I wasn't going to fool around. And I come to find out that there wasn't anything left except meat, So I said, well, I'll start eating meat. And then that's how I found people like you and Chafee and, Saladino and, the whole club, start watching those videos. And that's how I got here. It was like a God thing.
I was on this morning, and I watched you and Carnivore Dr. Lisa Wiedemann, and she's one of my heroes. And everyone that you've mentioned are heroes. And I think that's the beauty of this. We're connecting with so many amazing people that inspire us with a simple story.
Yeah.
And do you have any stories about how you were feeling and how now you're feeling as a carnivore? And maybe tell us a little bit of what you're eating.
Well, when I was doing lots of fiber, vegetables and potatoes and pasta and rice, my share, I was pooping like 2-3 times a day. Right. And I've had people, as a regular guest, I have a lady in Panama. She's great, black gal, really a trip. And she turned us on to turpentine, and her name is Dr. Her name is escaping me at the moment. But she's all about pooping 2 or 3 times a day, right? And so I was drinking a lot of water and making sure I was pooping a few times a day. But after going carnivore, you find out, wait a minute, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have any fiber in there, right? So that was a trip, to get through that. But I knew I was doing good. I didn't feel bloated or anything. I just feel good. Dr. Jennifer Daniels is her name.
Yes, I know Jennifer Daniels. Yes, she used to work in Syracuse.
Yeah.
Yes. Wonderful, amazing, energetic healing.
She's great.
Yes.
So she's on once a month.
Yeah. Her name was in my background. I was coming to think about it because I knew who you were talking about, but you got it before I did. Yes.
Yeah. So this whole idea with pooping, and I heard you talking about that the other day on one of your Mighty Tribe things that I check every now and then. Thanks for those. 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever God's time is. I said, well, this guy's really into it. He's willing to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and talk to people. That's great.
It is so much fun, and I'm telling you, I'm so energized at whatever time of day it is. It doesn't matter. There are
Doesn't matter.
people up all around the world, and we're not just local anymore. And I'm sure that's the same thing. You're global, and maybe we whittle back a little bit into your radio talk show, and we'll come back to Carnivore too. Is you've really talked to some amazing people around the world. Anyone in particular that's really inspired you,
Uh,
or
I
your
think that,
listeners?
I think other than the money thing, we did a weekly show, and I've been fascinated with that whole thing and why I wrote the screenplay. But I think, I think the German New Medicine stuff to me is like really spot on. Do you know that German New Medicine?
No.
Uh, Long ago, there was a Dr. Hammer, Hammer. These German people, they get on something and they don't let it go, right? Well, he was very close to his son, and his son got shot, and it was devastating. And 2 or 3 months later, he got testicular cancer. So he began to start connecting the dots. Could that be connected with my son, the trauma of my son's death? So he started doing brain scans and working with people, and he dedicated his entire life to this. And he figured out very conclusively that all traumas in our life is pretty much how we start the disease process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? You get that. And he saw it in the brain, and as you release the trauma in the mind, because the mind-brain thing are connected, right? As you release it in the mind and the emotions, then it clears out in the brain, and then the thing heals. And I think that's really cool, because my whole life is dedicated to the soul, me, mind, body connection, how it all works. And I've seen some things on the inner planes that I can talk about, that it's just one thing. It's just one thing. There's not a thought that we have that isn't in the body until we decide we don't want it anymore.
It's all connected.
It is one thing.
Right.
But it's separate. Yeah, right. You got it.
And so I notice you use the word, most people use the word mind, body, soul, but you use soul, mind, body.
Top down.
So the soul is really that energy of everything. And
Yeah.
Can you explain it for us?
Yeah,
Maybe I don't want to mess it up.
No. So I have not had the true awareness of myself as soul, because it's kind of hard to get outside of yourself and look at yourself and say, oh, well, that's me. Right. But I've had a lot of out-of-body experiences. When I was a kid, I used to wake up Saturday morning to watch cartoons, and I figured out that if I rocked back and forth, this is like I was in grade school, if you rock back and forth and just breathe, all of a sudden I was on the ceiling looking at my body. And I didn't tell anybody about that, because I just thought everybody did it. But I felt amazing. I just felt amazing. So that's soul. We're just a viewpoint, right? We're just a viewpoint. And if I had to describe it, I would say that we are just a ball of light, and we're made out of God stuff,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which is all the good words you can come up with, like abundance and peace and love and compassion, everything. All those words, right? That's what we're made of. That's our essence, right?
Yeah.
So it's in there somewhere, and we don't know it because we think for lifetimes that we're the ego, Dr. Kiltz and Patrick, and we're not. We just aren't. This is just our little drama thing we put on for the world. And soul is running the show. Mm-hmm. We are at the top down. So it goes soul, mind. Anything in the mind is in the brain body, which is one, right? So I would look at it like the brain is a hardware, like on the computers. The mind is software, like Windows 10, and we are programmers. We're the programmer. And whatever we accept to be true is true for us until we say, no, I don't want to do
And there's a part of that software that's deep written within us that we're not even sure where it all comes from.
You're talking about
That
the unconscious.
the unconscious, which is below that energy that really drives it all, right? That
Exactly.
ball of light.
You have the soul plane, and then you
Yeah.
have the etheric plane, which is subconscious. Then you have the mental plane, the causal plane, the astral plane, and the physical plane. And they're not really stacked on like pancakes, but they're just in one eternal now, just
They're
one big now. So they're all just plopped onto one thing, and we're just changing our viewpoint. So to go to the astral plane, you just put your attention on the astral plane, and you're there.
So controlling and driving the thinking, which is the creative part of it, or tapping into that creative power. But there's so many under and overlaying thoughts that sort of run amok and distract that the direction you really think you want to go.
No, you're good. You're doing good. Well, that's right, and that's what they call the devil
Mm-hmm.
or Lucifer or whatever. You know, that's what there's energies always trying to get us to say, don't go to God, dude. Come over here. I got something for you. How about terrorism? How about worry? How about, you know, so, but as soul, once we see how this game works, every moment in the now, we have the opportunity to accept or reject every little silly thing that's flying through our mind. So it happens quickly, but most people think that they're thinking and they're really just repeating what's in the mind. Does that make sense?
So, what is your experience, thoughts, exercises in how we can get to that soul level? The As Tony Campbell brought it to us, I am a ball of light.
Right.
And how do we get there? What are some of the recommendations and practices that you do to get there?
One thing I do, and this is very powerful, and this has been used for eons with all kinds of cultures and all kinds of spiritual paths, is to sing Hugh. H-U. I had a card here. And H-U is a sacred name for God, human, God man.
Mm-hmm.
Hallelujah is part of Hugh. In the beginning was the word, and it was Hugh. And the sound creates the light, not the light creates the sound. And so you can sing Hugh. Would you like me to sing it for you? And then you can play with it. It's really cool.
Please.
Okay. So you just close your eyes and just relax, settle down. I do this every night for 5 minutes or so before bed as I'm going to sleep. It's just and you can do this for as long as you want. The longer, the better. And it actually takes you to the soul level. You are there.
So we talk a lot about food and exercise,
Yes.
and and what we don't talk enough about is the sort of spiritual work, the soul work. All of it is intertwined in one way or another. But um, what do you recommend, and what are your practices? Um,
I do spiritual practices that are put forth. My spiritual path is Ekankar, and it's the ancient science of soul travel. And so we do discourses monthly. I've been 35, 40 years anarchist. And so we have lots of support from our spiritual masters on the inner planes. And the more we get in tune with these beings who want to help us to know God, then the more they help us. But one of the great spiritual exercises that I do is just sit and do nothing. Just sit and see what happens.
And while you're doing nothing,
Yeah.
do you drive and direct the thought,
No,
or
no,
do you
no.
work to extinguish?
Well, now you're asking some good questions. Yeah, I wouldn't mess with the thought, because if you mess with a thought, it's just going to come back. I mean, it's just the way it goes, you know. I mean, it just is. What's the old saying, Doc? What you resist persists.
Yes.
It'll just
Yes.
come back. Um, the interesting thing about thoughts, and I can't prove this, but I know it's right. I know it. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Someday I'll be able to. Is that the old Eastern philosophy, the Buddhist and the yogis, and watching your thoughts go across like the clouds. You know
Right.
all that
Right.
stuff.
Right.
Well, that's an illusion. Every thought. This is pretty geeky. Get into it. Every thought is a state of consciousness. Right? It is a state of consciousness, and it's just one boom, 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 boom. Because there's only now. Time is total illusion. Absolutely doesn't exist. So how can a thought be going from here to there if there is the past, that's the future? It's an illusion. So I think what we've done as a species to, and we've been tricked in by Satan and his boys to think that we're evolving spiritually by just watching our thoughts, when we're really buying into a thought that we're a soul watching our thoughts, which is just another thought, and that's an illusion. So we're still in the matrix when you do that.
So
So
it's all a dream or an illusion, just like when you were a child and you'd watch the cartoons and you'd go and watch yourself from above, and and part of that is helping us all drive the conversation within our minds of what's happening everywhere, which is the driving force. Is
yeah,
there's thinking, there's obviously a subconscious thinking, and ultimately, our habits have driven a rut in so many of us. You've done so much in your life, and how do you generally get out of those mind ruts, life
yeah.
ruts?
Once you realize that you are not the mind, that's the big one. Once you realize that, and not just think it, you know it. You go, whoa, what the hell is going on? Then you can, as the Buddhists say, the three most important things in life are to pay attention, and pay attention. And they use the term mindfulness. But you stay awake all the time, and you begin to see how this game is being played. And after you see how it's being played, year in and year out, day in and day out, you figure out a way how to get above it
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
do things from the soul level. You don't even mess with the mind anymore. I don't pay attention to anything my mind puts in, not one thing. And then you get above it, right?
Ignore that.
Oh yeah, totally.
Ignore that.
Even though, yeah, just ignore it all, because it's all, remember, the mind is just software. It doesn't
Yeah.
know anything. The only thing it knows is what we put into it. So that includes news and newspapers and blogs and talk shows like us. Some of it's good, some of it's not so good, some of it's not true at all, right?
But entertainment in some ways. Uh, how has carnivore changed your spiritual in
Huge,
in mind work?
huge, huge.
Tell
I
us
have
about
so
that.
much more chi, right? Prana, so much more juice to do the work that I do, to actually sing you or contemplate, talk to God on a meat-based animal diet than I did eating carbs and all that. You just can't compare the two. You know that. I'm not telling you anything.
So,
What's so funny about it, Doc, is that all these spiritual people out there, in India and everywhere, they think that eating vegetables is more spiritual than killing a cow. And it's just the opposite.
we're killing humans and killing our real inner light and soul in a way that is not enabling us to just really turn the light up. Turn the light up.
Turn the light up. I like that. Yeah. It's prana, chi, mojo. And then we can exercise, or we can write, or we can do, look at you. You're working, and you're a surgeon, and you're doing stuff, and you're on the air 14 times a day. I mean, come on. You couldn't do that eating baked potatoes. You're just not going to do it.
I was running to eat 3 to 6 times a day, and energy was down. Although I was running and running and running and running, and exercising, and my body was hurting and hurting. And tell us a little bit about your other movement habits.
Movement things. Well, I do a sauna every night, a far infrared sauna. I think that's very powerful. I do coffee enema once a week, just for fun. Just because I can. I like doing it. And I like listening to screenwriting material while I'm lying there. It gives me something to do. But I've just started really, since Carnivore, starting to really get doing some fun things with weights. And just as you know, they have great people on YouTube. You can learn how to do anything, right? Abs, arms, whatever. Booty. I'm building a better booty. And so I do one body part, and then I wait 4 or 5 days, and then do that body part again. I kind of got to but I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just faking my way through.
We're strengthening. One of the things I think is very important is you don't need to build muscle. You need to strengthen your body so you can keep getting up out of bed, up off the couch, and keep doing what you're doing and sharing your marvelous energy.
Fun. One thing that I do that I really like, I learned from a fellow, Tommy Johns. You ever heard of him?
No. Oh. What Tommy John's sausage or
pizza? He's just a crazy man who does YouTube videos, and he's really wild. But the chin-up bars, you have one of those chin-up bars?
Yes.
What you do is you get on this guy and you just hang on it all the way down for as long as you can. And it's really strengthening. Try it. It's really cool. Yeah. Do that 2 or 3 times a day. I do that about 3 or 4 times a day. I can do about 2 minutes now in one hit. Where when I first started, I could do about 10 seconds. You just get on there.
Well, I started back to weights about 6 months ago, and for the last 10 years plus, I wasn't doing anything, and I've been my hardest core on fat. I'm doing my 1 meal a day and meat, and I'm feeling stronger than ever before. I stopped running. I do light biking, and that's it. And but most of all, I'm doing more naps and meditation.
Excuse me. What's naps? Oh, naps. Oh, I do. I love naps.
I take a nap 1 to 3 times a day. Depends. Usually, if I have a long drive or a flying, I take a nap before I do that because I'm at the helm, and I think it's one thing that we've lost is as a kid you napped, and most carnivores actually sleep a lot. The herbivores eat a lot, and the lions eat a lot less. And I'm learning to live more and more and more like a lion.
Yeah, I love the nap. Maybe 20 minutes. I did 2 naps today, like you.
Yeah.
It's just great. It's really cool. Yeah.
I mean, that dog and cat that we so many of us have or have had, and they're just whenever their moment is, they just take a nap, and they can be up, energized at any moment with that flight or fight or run and whatever it is, and we've sort of we're go 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 go. And what's your thoughts on how our current lifestyle is leading us down a path of diminished soul, mind, and body.
Oh, I think this is a big spiritual thing going on, and there's a lot of people, souls that aren't going to make it out of this one. But, we're eternal and we don't like to see people go. But so I think it's a choice. If people want to wake up and smell the coffee kind of thing and say, okay, well, maybe I don't want to take the jab. Maybe this whole germ thing doesn't wash. Maybe terrorism is not what they said it was, whatever. And people are waking up. And the people that wake up and then find the right foods and don't go to the doctor and take their stuff, they'll make it out of here. And the other ones won't.
But ultimately, we're all that eternal being. We're all on our individual journeys to learn, grow, create, and so our physical nature is just a minor component of our eternal nature, and we're just that light energy that is God and will be remanifested into something else. And
right. There'll be something else. There'll be something else.
Every time I said, "Oh, I'm done with school," there's another life lesson in a classroom, but it's not at the building, the block, the brick and mortar anymore. It's just immense things to learn together in some way. And what I love about, our technology today and enabling us to all share with Tony, LVC, Carrie, and Lucas, and more, who bring some really great thoughts and ideas for all of us. There we go. And
I just figured out that I was looking at the wrong camera.
Oh,
I was looking at my main camera, and I hooked into my little zoomy camera. Okay, so that's.
We got Patrick Timpone. Timpone. I'll get it. It's my Italian. I don't have it enough. And where do you live? Tell us a little bit about
where. Springs, Texas. It's about an hour outside of Austin, Texas, in the hill country. Beautiful out here. I have a straw bale house, solar panels on the roof, and a golden doodle dog who's lying right here taking a nap as we speak. I have a pretty good life. Wonderful life. And a creek.
And you do these shows all on your own? Do you have any help to kind of put them all together?
No, it's just me and God and Doodle, my dog. I do have a very sweet lady who doesn't live here, and she does my graphics and a few things like that, geeky stuff that I don't know how to do. So without her, I would be dead in the water. And then I have a lady in Nebraska that takes notes every morning, and so then she sends the notes, and I can put those in the show notes. So yeah, I've got a little bit of help. And then, I actually have a geek in California that I can call up when something doesn't work. So, they're not full-time or anything, just helpers.
What's your goals? What are the things that you want to create still?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would like, if I could figure out a way, when I figure out a way, how should I say this? When I can figure out a way to just write screenplays, and I want to produce movies. That's my next thing. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I think that film is so. When I was a kid, I used to ride the bus for 45 minutes just to go see a movie in downtown St. Louis. I've always known that film is a magical way, story. The Joseph Campbell, the story.
Yeah.
The hero's journey.
Yeah.
Is a way to put across spiritual messages. That if you put it in a story, people will listen. And then, documentaries are cool, but I want to do stories.
So ultimately, Joseph Campbell is one of my favorites, and it's all a story, and is it a lie? Are we duped? Or it depends on the perspective, and maybe all of us listening and learning on how to bring a story to another level, and helping everyone understand the story, or your story. Tell your story, right?
Yeah, help everybody understand the journey, right? So at the beginning, in the first act of a movie, for example, he's an orphan. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing here. What's going on? Here's what I want to do. But the second act, then the hero is a wanderer. So he wanders around for a bit, trying different things. And there's always pushback, right? There's always forces trying to stop him. You got to have that. And then the hero is a warrior in the end of act. And then he's a warrior. And he's fighting. He's trying to reach his goal, whatever that is, to fall in love or, save the world or save the whales or whatever it is. And then at the end, he's a martyr. And then that's when we understand that we are here to serve God, which is the hero's journey, and we just give it up to God. And then that's when I got goosebumps. And then that's when we know the deal. And that's when we win, when we just give it all up and let God work through us, right? Without us trying to control.
So what you're saying is for us each to love and enjoy the part we're in at the moment.
Got to be. What else choice we have?
Right.
It's just here now. I mean, for us to not like where we are, it's sorry, but it's just ridiculous. I mean, the only way to get out of where we are, is to go somewhere else. That's it. You just change your viewpoint from, I don't like where I am, I live here, so I'm just going to go somewhere else. So the same thing soul does, just puts its attention on somewhere else, right? So wherever we put our attention, that's where we are.
What's your direction now on Carnivore in your sharing? Because I saw you with Lisa Wiedemann. You've talked about Sally,
from you. She's great.
Yes, Sally Norton, and who else?
We've had some cool people. We're gonna have we've had Dr. Cyrus. Cyrus. He was pretty cool, a very cool guy. Let me get to mine. We're going to have Dr. What's the fellow's name? Let me look at my list.
Yeah,
we got some. Yeah,
that's the beauty. We're both in our offices. We're connecting and conversing. And we lost Patrick. And we'll give him a second. And Joseph Campbell Ronnie, he is amazing. One of my favorites. Love all of his books. And I'm inspired by Joseph every single day. And Tony, yes, it's all a lie. We're being masterfully brainwashed every single day. That's the but ultimately, it's maybe we're only not brainwashed when we recognize that's not the story that I want to live. Right? We're recognizing those stories are there. Malcolm, can you maybe send a link back to Patrick and see if we can get him back on? We have a few other things to talk about if we can.
What happened? Did he just leave?
No, he must have cut out, hit a button or something. He was looking for something. Do you want to just send him the link? Do you have a link to send him or to Jake?
I can reach out to Jake right quick.
Okay, why don't you do that? Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. So we're still live, and I'm here to answer questions, and hopefully Patrick will come back. We got another 10, 20 minutes, maybe we'll see. But I'm really excited about Patrick because I did a conversation with him, Patrick Timpone, which is one radio network, and he's been doing this for a while. He's got some really great health and wellness and also some other conversations, but wanted to talk a little bit more about his carnivore journey. And I'm here to answer some questions. Tony Lambs, it's crazy how less sleep I need. Also, I do 6 hours of sleep at night. I do 9 to 3, 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. I do my motion work most days. Some days I don't do that. I'm usually in the office by 4:30, and on my 5 a.m. live every single day. And we're currently continuing with that. We'll see if it changes. I may be going on vacation pretty soon, and may take some time to go and spend some time with Miss Tia and just cut it out for a little bit. But I did my break of my 3-day fast yesterday, 72-hour fast. I had Snake River. and Alpine Meats ribeyes, and they were awesome with the little Bell and Evans um, chicken liver. It was great with some blue cheese and butter. Organ meats. I do liver. I love my goose liver. It is the very, very, very best. And I just put it under the broiler or put it in the pan. Last night I cooked the chicken liver, sauteed it with some butter, high heat, and it was superb. Let's see, 9 p.m. to 3:30. No naps for me. Lucas, you're doing awesome. I take one or two. I'm nonstop all day, but I think those naps, it's really my meditation and prayer. I put my timer on for 10 minutes. I go down my gratitude list. I think it's good for us to slow down for sure. Uh, Longest fast, 22.5. Awesome. Go longer, Ronnie. Again, but practice that for a little bit. I think the 23 and 1, 22.5 and 1.5 is really good. The more you practice this, get good at what you're afraid to do, and then you can add on the next level. Meditate 3 times a day. Awesome, Lucas. That's what I do 3 times a day. That's my, sometimes I'll just drift to the sleep, and then I come back. I'm always hearing and listening. I'm usually in my office or wherever I'm at. I think, again, meditation, naps, again, it's not meant to take an hour or two nap. It really is to reset the neurotransmitters. The synapses need naps. Let's see. It is amazing, Ronnie, how in carnivore, I am not hungry. I did my 23 and 1 today. I might have had a spoonful of butter earlier today, and then the rest of the day, nothing. I was in the operating room all day, and I feel amazing. And so that amazing feeling is so wonderful. And carnivore is a game changer. 55 years, I was pretty much Mediterranean, a lot of vegetables, a lot of lean meats. And then probably around at age 50, I started playing in the paleo world and the keto world. And at 55, I went full on carnivore. And I've been doing that for almost 12 years now. I'll be 67 years young in March of next year. So it's really been something. And one of the reasons I brought Patrick on is because he's gone carnivore, and he's got some really, really great uh, people on, amazing people that's sharing stories of health and wellness and all different areas of life that I think are really inspiring to listen to, and it's great entertainment too. One Radio Network. Let's see. Crystal, next month, I hope to see you when I'm in Syracuse. Just ask for Kiltz, right? Compensate and reward yourself for fasting. Let's see. When I was fasting for 72 hours, I want to binge. I know it's mental, but how do I overcome the urge to want to compensate or reward myself? I reward myself. I do a little ice cream or cream and occasionally a little piece of chocolate. It's okay. I think those are okay things to do. Don't chastise yourself. You do 3 days without any food. I did a little more steak than I do. I had the liver. I had a couple slices of salami and Parmesan cheese, and then I had some cream, iced cream, which was good, and that was it. And strawberries are bad in any amount or significance. I think if you're anaphylactic reaction, yes, but a little bit of fruits or vegetables or seeds and nuts from very limited time to time. But yeah, I don't think of any significance or frequency is good for us. That's why I don't recommend raw honey or sugar or fruits every single day. Let's see. We're live, and we were waiting for Patrick, but he may not get back in today. We'll bring Patrick on another day. We're here just to share some thoughts and ideas, answer some questions. A few more minutes on the live, and let's see. Hold on, my friends. You guys are doing awesome tonight. It is, where are we at? It's Thursday night. I generally do a fast once a month. Let's see, Audra, concept of intermittent feasting. maybe a binge is intermittent feasting. Again, I think it's intermittently feasting. It's okay. You can go that way. Again, from time to time, it's priming. Oh, we got Patrick back. Let's bring.
You're a real pro. You were just carrying on, weren't you? God bless you.
Well, I knew you were there, and it's all good.
I just had to reboot my computer, and then please, I got back.
It's the great technology that we have, and we all just have to go with the flow. It's like anything else. And
what are you talking about? What have you been talking about?
Well, I've been just talking about my diet and that my 72-hour fast that I did, and I broke last night. And I think it was Audra, or one of the gals, or community was sharing that they felt a little overly binging when they break that fast. And I call it feasting. See, I'll call it intermittently feasting. I eat one meal a day, most days, just one. That's the very best for that amazing machine, because if you eat more frequently, you damage or affect the glycobiome. And the more the glycobiome is damaged, the microbiome flourishes. And a microbiome, to me, is a bad boy. And the microbes want to kill us and own us.
So what are they doing down there, Doc?
Microbes are everywhere. They've been around longer than you and I have, and they're in everything, except they're not in ribeye steak, because they might be on the outside if you're dry aging it, but not the anaerobes, just the aerobes. It's the anaerobes that are really the ones that are going to get you. But for whatever reason, bugs do not like butter or ribeye steak, and so my sense is that
they don't have good taste, right? Obviously.
No. And the microbes love plants, and they've evolved with plants. And when we eat a high plant-based diet, we place a lot of those microbes in our bowels. We colonize our bowels with a lot of bacteria, and they are fermenting in our bowels. They're fermenting in our mouth, our teeth, our gums, our lymph nodes, our tonsils, our adenoids, in our what am I thinking? Other my brain's not thinking right now, but that's okay. They're everywhere. They're in our nose and our ears. They go up and likely may find ways into our brain, and our spinal cord, in all sorts of ways under some really rare conditions. But these bugs are circulating because when you damage the glycobiome, that mucopolysaccharide layer, the sugar layer, is a protective layer. And when you consume a lot of sugar, you dissolve that sugar layer.
Oh, the sugar dissolves the sugar.
Sugar, like dissolves like. Sugar dissolves sugar. This is, if you want a solvent, you get the same thing. Right. And so it damages the glycobiome, which then allows the microbes and the other antigens, including oxalates, lectins, phytates, to enter into your body and circulate everywhere, embed themselves in every organ, including your brain, your eyes. And I know you talked to Lisa Wiedemann a little bit about how many eye conditions heal over losing the plants, because you're losing the antigens along with the chemicals, but mostly the sugar. And my theory is that sugar is not the energy of the mitochondria. It's a precursor for fat. So are amino acids. Both amino acids and simple sugars they go to the liver, and via insulin, they're converted to fat. But they're also critical for protein glycosylation and glycoprotein production. So, the microbes are not good for us, and probiotics are not good for us, which is kind of opposite of what everyone else says.
Right.
But just like I just brought some books home on the cholesterol story and heart stories. And I don't know if you've listened to David Diamond. He's a PhD neuroscience researcher, I think, in Florida. He's really miraculous on recognizing that much of science is actually maybe snake oil or fraudulent, or, maybe our egos, I know my story is right. Maybe I'm going to adjust some of the statistics or that, just like Ansel Keys did with the 7-country study, right?
With the sugar thing, right?
Right. And so fat's to blame, not sugar. So I don't know. That's, it's my story.
No, I like it. I like, interesting thing you might be curious about. I did, ever since doing carnivore, I was able to hold more coffee with my coffee enemas in my body, because I guess there's not a lot as much stuff. Would that be a reasonable conjecture, right?
Well, the inflammation. So when you reduce the inflammation, and most of the bugs are in the colon, from the appendix down, and that's why the appendix is removed a lot, because we're contaminating the colon and the bowels with a tremendous amount of fiber and all that. And so I'd say that your bowels become stronger, and they become more capable of holding that, right? And they're made to hold. See, like your bladder fills up, and then you empty it. You're not meant to go to empty your bladder every hour, but that's a bladder that's very inflamed. Interstitial cystitis. It's so common. Everyone has it. Same reason: sugars, plant chemicals, and plant antigens. And so that coffee, and so Mr. Lee teaches psychology, brought on the scientific research is highly biased. But aren't we all humans in some way, right? It's that brain. Wants to see what it wants to see, and then it sees what it wants to see. It doesn't matter who you are, right? And we're going to propagate that story.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
And we began breathing our own exhaust fumes, pretty much just, yeah.
Are you?
I wanted to tell you about this coffee enema. So the other day, about a week ago, I was doing this coffee enema, Doc, and then all of a sudden I start putting more in and more. And I've never put that much in, like 2 quarts or something. It's crazy. And I could hold it in. So this is interesting. So I just laid there and listened to my screenwriting videos, and for like an hour. Finally, I just let it out, and I thought, well, that's pretty interesting. Boy, the next day, oh my God, I had chills, I had fever, I had body aches. It was amazing. It was great. I knew I'd stirred something up, baby. It's like.
Are you eating any plants? Are you pretty much just carnivore now?
Yeah, I'm just doing meat and eggs and butter and a few organs, not a few organ meats.
What's your key go-to meal, or what is it?
It would just be like 4 or 5 ounces of ribeye. Put some butter on there, and pretty much, and then I'll have eggs sometimes with it on top of it. But I can't eat a lot. I mean, I'm only 125 pounds. I eat 4 or 5 ounces of steak, and then I'm good.
Do you find that you're eating less on carnivore? Total volume, right?
No, even close to what I was eating before. Not even close. And I haven't lost an ounce. Now, go figure.
I've gained a few pounds, but it's mostly, I think, muscle mass, because I've leaned down. It's muscle mass, and I've leaned down, and it's been quite an amazing thing in all of this.
So I want to tell you that after the coffee enema,
yes, please.
After 2 or 3 days of detoxing, I felt terrible. I mean, I had to skip a show one day, which I rarely do, maybe twice in 15 years.
Wow.
I was really I don't even use the term sick. I was healing. So I don't look upon things as ever sick.
What's your thoughts on coffee?
Well, I gave it up about 2 weeks ago. I gave it up. I could just write more clearly. I could tune in more to the muse, which is God, without
Yeah.
coffee.
Yeah.
So I just gave it up. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago.
I gave up coffee 2 months ago.
Did
70.
you?
I think it's 70 days.
And what difference has you felt?
Oh well, someone said I was calmer,
Yeah,
more in tuned,
right.
and I have much more clarity. And I don't drink much alcohol. I drink a martini once in a while, but it's almost all olive juice, and I have sips. And my intention is no alcohol in September, and that might be my next one to sort of. But again, I almost hold the glass, and it's been amazing. And
Sure.
I know so many more people like Mr. Lee again gave up caffeine. I personally recommend the one meal a day because, again, you want to protect the glycobiome and minimize
So
the
tell me
micro.
why that protects it. It just gives it more time to rest.
Right. So rest to digest and then heal. So food digestion, if your gut is digesting all the time. See, this is what I think is the number one damaging component to our lifestyle of 3 to 6 meals a day is that your bowels are full of food from the day you're born to the day you die.
Mhm.
99.9% of people do not fast.
Right.
And although they might have a spiritual fast from time to time, or not eat food from sun up to sun down, but my sense is, since we're eating a lot of vegetables, fruit, fiber, seeds, and nuts, our bowels are full of fermenting food, and as the plants are broken down, the sugar is going, and the chemicals are all going to the liver, and this is all the damaging component to the liver. So the liver job is primarily to make fat. That's the liver's primary job, is to make fat
For
out
fuel,
of
for the brain.
well, no, yeah, fuel.
No?
It's to make fat for fuel for every mitochondria in the body,
Wow.
in the brain, in the muscle, and everything. The red blood cell is a battery.
Hmm.
And that's why it runs out after about 90 days. It's simply been given all the amount of ATP that it's going to need. And then over time, it just diminishes because it doesn't have the mitochondria. And so, and we damage the mitochondria, we damage the red cells, we damage every cell in our body due to eating plants, sugars, which are essentially, were never eaten in any frequency or significance for our 3.5 million years of evolution. And so essentially our modern medical system is full of doctors treating a disease caused by eating plants. And
You really
so,
think so? I mean, you think these
oh,
plants are that toxic?
they're the plants. People will drop dead of an anaphylactic reaction to many plants. My daughter would die to a banana and be very, very, very sick to an avocado. And then, people die of peanuts and seeds and nuts of anaphylactic reactions all the time.
Hmm.
The same goes with shellfish and fish, which I don't recommend eating in any significance or frequency. Some people may not have an anaphylactic reaction yet, but they will eventually, or they might. See, I think the sicknesses are chronic inflammation that shows up as cancer or sudden death or heart disease or ALS or dementia. So the more you're exposing your mind, your body to carbohydrates that have no requirement in our nutrition ever. And so, again, you could eat it from time to time, but all the time, no.
And as you know, that the our state of consciousness, right? We were talking about it before I cut myself off there, is so interconnected with the body that if we're in a little bit of fear or angst, there's that energy, and it's being put, maybe as the Chinese medicine say, anger in the liver and fear in the kidneys, right, and all that. And then you pile on bad food, and then the game begins, right? Then you can come up with anything. from liver cancer to prostate to whatever, right? It just makes sense because that energy is in the body, and it's just like I've seen it on the inner planes, and it's almost like Doc. It's almost like a little cloud. You know, remember the cartoon where it showed the guy, what was it, Peanuts thing, and there was a little cloud, Pigpen, he had this little cloud. It's almost like this energy around the liver or kidney or heart or wherever it is. It's almost just like a cloud, a little bit of darkness, and it's just coagulated energy is the best way I can describe it. Right.
Wim Hof, you've sure
Oh yeah, I know.
Iceman, and Wim's mental work and his breathing work and his ice work and his commitment, I think we know that meditation, prayer, visualization, soul work is can heal. We know that. And so whether you're a vegan, vegetarian, Mediterranean, or carnivore, it doesn't matter. We're just incorporating some ideas, I think, in this modern world, to recognizing that my bet is that many of those ancient sages didn't eat 3 to 6 meals a day. There's much fasting and minimal.
So you don't get hungry if you just do the one time. You do fine for another 18 hours or 20 hours.
Well, our eating habits are eating habits in the sense that we've been trained like a dog to eat 3 meals and snacks. And so now you need to retrain the brain.
Mm-hmm.
Your body doesn't require that many calories unless you're getting ready for the famine or the winter and you know you're not going to eat for 3 months. We are capable of that. So we are meant to get fat. We're not meant to be skinny. Being skinny is deadly in most environments because fasting was the most prevalent thing you ever had. And so I always say we chastise people that are overweight, which is incorrect, wrong, and prejudicial. It happens in modern medicine all day long, and I think it's bad. Basically, every human being is a beautiful person, size, shape, whatever they are, beautiful. And when we recognize that our work as doctors to try to make people skinny hasn't worked, it's bad. And what we need to do is change the paradigm. The paradigm is everyone is beautiful. And we need to be a coach, a cheerleader, and help everyone see the beauty within themselves and not try to put them down and like, oh my God, we got a list of your disorders. I mean, that's what doctors do. Let me write up all your disorders. And most of the time, they're just going to add another one because they tell us what? Fruits, vegetables, seeds, nuts, 3 meals a day, and get on the treadmill.
As you know, Doc, even the natural field over the years, they've got into this whole same paradigm. It's just natural. Same thing, right? I've been on a lot of these crazy machines where they'll come and they'll put these little things on your meridians. Have you ever seen these machines? And they say they're going to tell you everything that's going on with you. I've never done one of those where it hasn't been 15 different things that were wrong with me. I didn't believe any of them. I don't believe them. I'm just not going to buy into that. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, again, we're highly gullible and we're manipulative very easily. And we don't need 99% of the stuff we're sold, but it's part of the joy of life in some way. But you're doing amazing. And do you drink? So what are you drinking, by the way?
Just a water with lime juice in it.
And I've actually got my my water with a little lime juice in also.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you think we get enough vitamin C with just a little lime juice, probably every day?
Well, the meat. So see, this is the magic of meat. It contains everything.
Oh, cool.
So meat contains sugar.
It does?
Yes, it does.
Wow.
Meat contains fat. Meat contains protein. There are things called glycans. Glycans.
Sugar, right?
They're the sugars that are attached to proteins in every cell of your body. Every organism has a glycan. Plants have glycans. Animals have glycans, bacteria have glycans, glycans. And glycans are absolutely the most important thing. Without a glycan, COVID could not make its way into you. And it could not fool you. So when we eat meat, there is sugar. And it's quite amazing. It's quite amazing. So, but all right. Where do people find you? When are you on? And
I'm on every morning at 10 o'clock, and it's oneradionetwork.com. And I do a show every Friday, and it's called It Takes a Long Time to Get Young. And it's all about, I think aging is a scam. I think we've been just lied to. I don't think we have to age. I think we can keep our body actually as long as we want. And so that we talk about, that's also the title. My dog. That's also the title of my latest screenplay. It Takes a Long Time to Get Young, and then my book too. And the aging thing is just so to me fascinating. You know, it's just, I mean, I've got 70. I'm working on 76 Christmases under my belt.
Wow.
And I'm going the other way. I'm just going. I don't believe it. I think, you know, I mean, you even have natural docs saying, well, you know, when you get to be 40, 45, you don't have enough testosterone. I don't believe any of that stuff. If you believe it, you got it. You own it, and it's in your body, and you're in, and end of story, right? I don't believe anything. And so I don't even use think about, you know, like neuro-linguistic programming. How many times have people seen a person who's 50 on screen, and they thought, well, that's the way you look when you're 50, and that's what happens when you're 50. You have lifetimes of this programming, and when you get 50, if you believe any of that, which you do if it's subconsciously, you'll look just like they do when they're 50.
And we're programmed to believe.
Oh yeah.
And so it's the work to keep the programming of what you want to be and where you want to go. And that is the most important thing.
You program yourself. That's right. You are the programmer, not the mind. Just take that job over and just say, listen, I don't believe that. I'm going to do this. Okay. And do it. And you see what happens. It's really no more complicated than that. It's so simple. Most people don't get it because it's too simple. Oh, that could be, oh no, that's too simple.
Well, I tell people the most important thing is, what are you listening to? What are you watching? What are you reading? And what are you immersing your mind and body in?
Right.
Because you're responsible for that entity. And wherever you immerse yourself in is going to be the vibrational energy that you live. And so you want to make sure that you're immersing yourself in that place that is just rocking and rolling. Rock and roll where you want to go. So. All right. We're going to be going to One Radio Network with Patrick Timpone. And thank you.
We have all the links to our videos on BitChute and stuff like that.
We're going to put links on this and our website on drkiltz.com. And it's always a pleasure, Patrick.
I had so much fun talking to you. Thanks for inviting me on. It's really an honor. You're one of my heroes, you know. You're one of my
well, I think, we're all co-heroes. That's why I say, when you join the mighty tribe, we're all just co-leaders. And that's what's really important in life, is to recognize that we're all co-leaders. But we do emulate and learn from people. I mean, you've been doing your radio show for 15 years.
55 years, really, right?
55 years, right? From when you were right. So that is really an amazing accomplishment. But it shows how motivated you are to help people with this great, amazing information.
That's
so
the only reason we're here, right?
That's it. And just a real quick one: vitamin C has very minimal requirements when you eat meat. And there's all the minerals and vitamins in just the meat without the organ meats. But you add the organ meats, you're even better.
So I wanted to ask you, though, do you do a lot of organ meats? Give me an idea of how much.
No. I eat mostly my ribeye steak every night. I have a little bit of liver. I do duck liver, maybe once a week or less. It depends. That's what I do, and I feel better than ever before.
Yeah.
Just my energy. I've just like, wow.
And
I'm on-
you do doctor things all day long,
all
like
day
with
long. Yeah,
patients and surgery and all kinds of stuff.
I do my live 5 to 6. I start seeing and talking to patients at 6 a.m. And I'm busy until about 4 to 5. And then I usually do my workout between 3 and 4, but some days I'll do it in the evening, but that's rare. And then I did in my pottery studio a little bit where I make Kiltz cups. I have a new website now, kiltzcups.com.
That's great.
Yeah. But this is what I really love. Mr. Lee and Anthony and Ray, and you meet so many amazing people from around the world, and
Really,
we
yeah.
feel, and that's the part I'm loving with this because there's no other way for us to connect. I mean, I guess before the internet and all of this, it was radio
Yeah.
and television.
And
Right. And then if you didn't have
from-
someone sponsoring you, nowadays you can do anything you want and put the time and energy investment. I even play my guitar some days in the morning at 5 a.m. as bad as it is, but I love it.
So I want to encourage your fans to support you. It's really important that people support people that they like and they're learning from, because that's, this whole thing of money, it's just an illusion, but we exchange it. It's just an exchange of energy. Don't get tied up about it, just donate or whatever you do.
Well, that's what I think is really important, that we're all sponsoring someone, whether it's Patreon or
Whatever.
products or anything. So I know that you have some really great products
We do.
on your station, and support is really important. And Audra, I'm going to talk about the glycobiome again very soon, because to me that's the secret, and it's
I want to understand more about that. We could do a whole show on my show just about the glycobiome.
The glycobiome, and I'm doing some work with GlycoCheck. It's a supplement company, but they really harnessed the GlycoCheck camera, which looks under the tongue and videos the microscopic vessels, and then it in computer generated number will tell you what your inflammatory score is, because really the glycobiome is the true measurement of inflammation. So again, it's the sugar is not energy, it's glycosylation. And when you think you eat sugar and get energy from it, it's like heroin, cocaine. It's a drug. Yeah. That's all. It's not making ATP energy.
Do you know Zoe Harcum?
I've heard of Zoe Harcum.
She was on yesterday.
Okay.
Really, watch that. She's very cool. Very cool woman. You should talk to her if you'd like to.
And I'd love to.
She was incredibly hardcore about sugar. And she's massively researched, Doc. She is like, she got this research thing down. And so every now and then I was doing a little bit of honey, but I'm going to give that up too. I just don't need it.
Well. Again, it's I consume sugar a little bit from time to time. Simple sugars. We all need it. I fly airplanes. I drive cars. I do many things in life that are all risky, and simple sugar from time to time is quickly taken into the liver and converted to fat.
No. Oh, really simple. So what would be a simple sugar?
Simple sugar is it doesn't have the plant lectins, oxalates, phytates. It doesn't have the plant chemicals, and it's not fermenting because it's not in the bowels long enough if you have a very healthy glycobiome.
Would that be honey? Would be a simple sugar?
Well, it's either honey or cane sugar or beet sugar. There's some other sugars you can do. I choose to do cane sugar because it's a pure, it's a
pure cane sugar from Hawaii.
It's a quick and easy glucose, which we love. Again, coffee is something that we love. It's an addictive chemical, and so I'm not recommending to people do this. but we're all going to choose where we're at. Some people have a drink of wine or beer and they'll drink the whole pack. The same thing with sugar for some people. I believe that a little bit from time to time. You could have my ice cream without any sugar also, by the way.
Yeah,
It's spectacular.
Yeah.
It's spectacular. And Lisa Wiedemann, I know, was talking about her brown butter, which is also another really great one. So
I bought that little product she recommended, Pluck, something like that. Pluck. Do you know what? It's a little spice.
Oh
thing.
yes.
And it's got some
Turmeric or coumarin or something a little bit.
cumin, and it's got some the organ meats. And do you think these organ meats that people are promoting are reasonable to take in the desiccated?
Well, we sell a we have a
them?
we have Kiltz's Nutritional Solutions,
Oh, well, then, so
recognizing that a lot of people don't love. I mean, I'll eat duck liver, but I'm not a big fan of liver in general, and I don't eat the organ meats very often. I just love my ribeye steak, and I'm happy, and I feel great. I've been doing it for 12 years, almost.
12 years. Wow.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Chafee argues, Chafee in Australia, he's cool. He argues that if it doesn't taste good, you don't want it. So,
Well,
do you think that's true? I mean, if it doesn't taste good, the body doesn't
yeah,
want it?
of course. I mean, there's a reason that's why. So sugar, fruit, is available for our palate because we only ate it from time to time. And if you ate it from time to time, you likely ate a large amount of it in order to get the conversion of sugar to fat. That's why bears eat a lot of fruit. And look at many animals will work to fatten up in the fall for the winter, right? And so we forget the normal physiology of our body. We've made it. The science, and Mr. Lee said it, is that the science is so squirrely and snake oily. It really is. Even Krebs and Krebs cycle, but there are thousands of molecular reactions happening, and we somehow think that sugar is the energy and then fat's the energy.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to me, because anorexics are at risk of dying quickly. And liver failure patients are also at risk of dying quickly, and they have sugar and insulin circulating in their entire body, and yet they can't make fat. Liver failure patients can't make fat, and so the question is, what's the liver for? The liver is to make fat. What's the function of insulin? To convert amino acids and simple sugars in the liver to fat. And so insulin resistance does not exist. Sugar is not the energy for your cells. And it's really so simple.
What's your fasting blood sugar in the morning?
I never check it.
Never check. You know what mine was the other day? 40.
Yeah, well, my brother's heart rate is about 40 resting, and he's a big swimmer. Cold water work is critical, but we're measuring things and then we're freaking out. But you see, fasting, if you only eat ribeye steak or a mammoth maybe once every 2 weeks, I mean, this idea of fasting, when you wake up in the morning, that's not fasting, because 99% of the time you still have something in your intestines that are being absorbed. As long as you have something in there being absorbed, you're not fasting.
Through the small intestine or the colon?
You may be absorbing some of that through the colon, but let's just say the majority is through the intestines. But meat is mostly absorbed in the upper intestines, not in the lower intestines and not in the colon. And so this idea that our bowels are the bucket of bad. 99% of people are simply filling their bowels with fermenting plants and decomposing plants, which are placed in a big digester on many farms, or now they're at energy locations to make methane gas, to turn a turbine to make electricity. So this idea of 3 meals of salad, fruit, vegetables, seeds, and nuts, and fish and chicken has no fat. And if you leave fish and chicken in the refrigerator for a couple of days, you're going to throw them out because they smell.
Mhm.
But ribeye
Not
steak,
meat?
not
No?
meat. Ribeye steak does not. When I say meat, we're talking about beef.
Mhm.
Beef is best.
I like buffalo. Do you like buffalo?
Buffalo doesn't have enough fat for me.
Oh, it doesn't.
It
Oh.
doesn't. Again,
Pork.
I
You like pork?
love pork, but I
Yeah.
mostly eat beef. I eat some
Mhm.
bacon. I mostly eat pork. It is amazing.
We have a
And
regenerative farmer here in Dripping Springs Farmers Market, and he feeds the pigs all vegetarian, no grains, nothing. And you should see the fat on this pork chop. I mean, it's like this much.
well, I don't. I personally am not against grains
For animals.
for animals, for the herbivores. There, that's not the issue. Omega-3, omega-6 ratios, that's again, it's a non-issue in my opinion.
Mhm.
The real issue is lean meat and plants. Lean meat is as deadly as a high vegetable diet, fruits. And basically, a high protein, low fat diet is deadly.
Is there more fat on the ribeye than what we see?
Well,
A lot
yes,
of the ribeyes I get don't have that much fat I can see.
I buy only the ones you could see a lot of
Okay.
fat. That's I go for the really fatty stuff, and without the fat, I mean these are the, I don't know if you could see that.
Yeah,
Let's
that
see,
looks kind of what I get. Yeah, kind of sort of.
that's not
And
bad, but
do you put those out in the fridge and age them a bit, uncover?
yes, I do. I love aging them in the fridge, and then and what I do is I will I cut part of the steak, and I cook it, and I put it back in the fridge and let it dry some more.
Do you really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like right out of the package, how long would you dry age on a rack in the fridge? How long?
2 to 6 days.
Wow.
Some people go longer. I don't go
It
longer.
seems to dry out a bit if I do longer.
Yeah. I don't do it
Yeah.
longer. I mean, that you can do that. Bigger pieces, you can do it if you have a larger piece. Let me give you a little quick picture of the glycobiome.
You got a picture of the glycobiome? Ooh. Oh, I see it now. That's a trip. That's actually a picture of it. What are those long things that look like corn cobs?
Well, so that's the epithelium of the bowel is the green yellow. The blue is the mucopolysaccharide glycobiome. It's the protective layer that's negatively charged and sulfated that prevents the microbes and other things from sticking. And it's the same thing, by the way, in your blood vessels, but the
Yeah.
epithelium below just looks different. It's flatter, and so this is again the glycocalyx, which is the carbohydrates on and in the cells. And so again, that's why. So when you eat meat, you're eating those sugars, which are going to be reprocessed as the glycans for glycosylation, because if you do not glycosylate, you will die fast. Every neurotransmitter is glycosylated. Every protein that's made in your cells. See, the mechanisms of what's going on in the cellular milieu is not these things are like every time someone says something about a chemical reaction, we kind of think of it as like, well, this leads to this and leads to this, and then when you make this, you'll make this. It is like it's going at the speed of light. We can't even fathom. Turn on the light. These reactions, I believe, are happening at the speed of light.
I believe that.
And you think of so the actin and myosin has these motor proteins that are basically go up and down. Well, how quickly are these things doing? And that's where glycosylation is so critical. It's constantly glycosylating these proteins. And so that's the function of sugar. And so when you measure your sugar levels and you think, well, I got to measure it, I got to do something, just leave it alone, because When you give insulin, by the way, to a type 2 diabetic, you then drive their sugar down and then you drive their appetite up. If they just stop eating plants altogether and go right to carnivore, all diseases are gone, and especially diabetes. It's a disease that has been manufactured by the American Heart Association, the Diabetic Association, the Nutritional Association, maybe inadvertently, unknowingly, they're actually sharing a scientific story, and even again, no disrespect to Jason Fung and so many others that have still perpetuating the word of insulin resistance. Your insulin is not resistant. You put sugar in your bloodstream all the time. As long as you put bloodstream.
You've seen some real evidence of people becoming fertile with doing carnivore.
Because being infertile or repetitive losses is also secondary to inflammation, and inflammation is caused by only 5 things: plant sugar, plant chemicals, plant antigens, plants that ferment in your gut, and excessive exercise. That is it. Excessive exercise.
And this is all plants. You're talking all of them.
I don't care of any significance or frequency. Again, from time to time. But if you happen to have an anaphylactic reaction or a seizure or something from that plant, or they're the host for the bacteria, yeast, or virus. And my bet is our plants are the greatest host for those microbes.
Isn't it crazy? Here we are in 2022, Dr. Kiltz, and we're talking about, about plants, and just 180 degrees with what the whole world thinks. I mean, are we just crazy?
Well, like you, it's crazy ideas that build on the future, and that's what I think is so important. But listen, it's been really, really, really a spectacular pleasure to have you on again, Patrick. And we're going to do this again. And and anyone you think we should interview, we'd love it. And again, everyone on our show is going to know you because you really great stuff.
We should do a whole thing on aging, because I've got some things on aging that'll just float your boat, baby.
Well, and by the way, I think the Randall cycle and all those cycles are incorrect, by the way.
I don't even know what they are. So
yeah, I know. But I mean, I think they're there. But again, the scientists just like to talk about them, but they're forgetting how the body really, really works, like the engine. All right. God bless you, my friend. Thanks to everyone. Take care.
See you soon. Take care.
All right, Patrick.